One's ready. One's ready. Go! 1, 2, 3.
Grind every day, yeah, we aim for the stars. Feet on the ground, but our heads are on Mars. Visions of glory, sweat on our skin. We craft our story, determined to win. We the titans, with hearts untamed. We face the giants in this battling game. Our dreams are loud, echoes of them remain. We stand as one, heading for the Hall of Fame. We chase the lights till the final whistle. Believe it when we say we never settle. We chase the lights till the final whistle. Believe it when we say we never settle. We did it, we did it, we did it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. Before we get into this next episode with Josh Green, OnexPunchxDad on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all around great dude and hilarious. Listen, University of Alabama in March for our Operators Training Summit. Slots are closing up fast. You got to get in there while you can. We are cutting it off at 20 February. We are well on our way to filling up. Like, we will fill up before 20 February. So do not wait. Do not sit on this. OperatorTrainingSummit.com. Invest in yourself. You need this more than I do. Okay. But you are learning from active duty PJs, special reconnaissance, some short ass combat controller, and the mad scientist himself, Taylor Starch. Like, you don't want to miss this. This is a hell of a deal for you guys.
The reason we like the OTS thing, right? Because we talked for years about not being the guys that are going to go out there and train folks, because all we saw was like the people with knives and tattoos and all that nonsense. Yep. This is deliberate training. We are not testing you while you are there. We are there to provide you the tools so that your training that you do yourself is efficient and effective and will lead to success. It's hard to, I'm sure y'all are tracking, but like the day-to-day of the selection courses and when you first join the military is highly stressful. And the efficiencies that you can get out of it, the better you can be at the little things, they're going to add up. And that's why we're so passionate about it. That's why we care about it. That's why we, take time away from our families to go out there and talk to y'all. It's not like a high intensity thing. It's kind of like you kind of do what you can and do what you want. You get to talk to all of us. And so you get a lot of different, opinions and all of our different experiences laid into it. And I think it is really beneficial. And the DMs that we've been getting back from guys that have been in the OTS and gone to the pipeline, they're like, this is actually what I needed. It makes me way better at the things that really matter.
Exactly. And then you will need equipment for it, right? Because we're not just going to sit here and talk about it. We're going to show you equipment. So if you guys head over to onesready.com, right-hand side, hit prep and then partner discounts. Partner discounts, scroll on down to where you see Attack Elite, right? And I've hyperlinked all of those.
Got to click on it. It's my favorite when they're like,
you got to click
Jared
on it.
Sent you a code.
And then boom, it's going to do this. And as long as you don't have pop-up blockers enabled, it'll say, Jared sent you a code for a discount. And then you hit that redeem. Boom, there's the code. And it changes every time. So that's not going to work every time, but you just go there. But the one thing that is exciting, they've got rocket fins, booties. Make sure you buy booties with rocket fins. They got high volume masks, snorkels, rucksacks, and all that kind of stuff. But the new addition are these boots right here.
It's the age-old question, which boots should I buy? The Attack Elite boots.
Yep.
We fixed it.
You can run in these, you can ruck in these, and they remind me of the ones that I used to wear when I went through, except they were black leather at that time. So these things look awesome. I haven't personally worn them, but they look exactly like the ones that I wore. So
yeah, it kind of looks like they took the best things about different kinds of boots that actually worked for the guys, and that's a compliment. And they worked it into their boot.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So go check those out and make sure you guys get that discount. Now, enjoy this next episode with OnexPunchxDad, i.e. Josh Green. The dude is hilarious. We hit a bunch of different topics and topics that I didn't actually think, we went pretty deep into fatherhood, which was pretty cool. So anyway, enjoy.
I wasn't there, so I'm also looking forward to it.
He's a great dude. So anyway, enjoy. See you
later.
We accept all lip pillowing here. And I stole the intro because Jared was taking a drink. What's up, everybody? Got a big one this time. It's me. It's Aaron. It's Jared. We have our friend. You may know him as OnePunchxDad. He's our friend Josh. Josh, thanks for coming to the podcast, bud. Great having you on.
Thanks for having me, fellas. I'm excited.
Matt, well, not as excited as we are because you're actually way more successful than us. And we were just talking about that with that sweet black in the background. So listen, man, you may not know this, but I know this because I know my family, but I actually am the proud older brother of two separate warrant officers inside of the United States Army. One is now retired, but the other one is still in. So
no kidding.
Every time I see you post, I'm like, thank goodness we've got a mister out here in the world just doing it the right way. Take everybody back. For those that don't know you, kind of give them your backstory, man. What got you into the influencer game, and how have you sort of rode that line, being in the Army and making that a big part of your content?
Yeah. It's kind of weird because I mean, I definitely, it was not intentional. It was not intentional. I've always been kind of creative a little bit, but I had kind of put a lot of that stuff on the sideline, just kind of thinking like, I'm in the Army and I got kids and that's the focus. That's what's bringing the money in for sure, So I got on TikTok 5 or so years ago and just, was doing some goofy stuff. Not really thinking it would do anything. Just kind of probing, just kind of seeing, just kind of being goofy in my off time really was it. And it really took off. And then I had a lot of people kind of jumping in there, kind of asking, what I thought. And, I had people sending me DMs pretty much immediately asking about like, hey, I want to put in a packet, or, hey, I want to, I want to be a warrant officer and stuff like that. I'm like, and it's 5 and some change years later, it's evolved a lot. I've gone through many, like kind of like a show goes through seasons, I guess. There's things that I've tried and that I really don't do anymore. And then there's things that I, want to do still that I haven't done, but it's been a wild ride. That's for sure. So,
well, I mean, it's worth what you're paying for it right now, but I have certainly appreciated your content and found it hilarious. The way there's so much beauty in it because the characters that you portray, every single person in the military, whether they're Army, Air Force, Coasties, whatever, if the Coasties are even a real military, like whatever, but
just unnecessary shots of DHS type. Good. We're 2 minutes in. Unnecessary shots.
So it's crazy because everybody has met a CSM. Everybody has met a Craftsman. And we can all point to somebody that at least one sometime, whether it was in basic training or, 25 years in, you're like, holy cow, I know exactly who you're talking about.
So those videos, actually, I didn't even start making those till probably 2 or 3 years into making content at all. And I kind of did that as an afterthought. It was just, I sat in the right meeting with the right guy. I think the first character I really did was the lieutenant colonel, which was at the time I was doing a lot of meetings with a lot of these kind of mid-grade, field grade officers, and they'd all put their glasses down on the crook of their nose and just be real, kind of like friendly, but also really unfriendly to each other, and just kind of passive aggressively ask each other for status reports and whatnot. And I was like, dude, are they like learning this at school, or like, cause they all do it. And, so yeah, it just kind of went from, and that really got some response. And I was like, well, a lot of these different tropes are present throughout the ranks. So let's go down the list with these.
Yeah.
We've all worked with them. we've all worked with that OPSO, that major that insists on Helictiva versus Arial font, and that freaks out of the dumbest stuff. Like walks out with taskers at 5:30. He's like, "Okay, everybody, we have to do this thing that I could have told you about at noon, but I was busy on some like networking call," and you're just livid.
The funniest part about the major is one of my favorite characters to do because I've worked with so many just like uptight, stick in the mud majors. Majors love that character. Like every character, their favorite audience far and away is the one that's being lampooned. I have SAR majors who send me messages. They're like, "Oh, we watch your videos at USASMO all the time, man. We just sit there and crush them." Well, the target audience is generally the one that's getting their balls busted. So,
it's fantastic. And then, when you start doing the staff wars too, I mean, what's obviously these are all things that you lived. I definitely lived it when working on the staff where you see it. It's different at a lower echelon, in terms of like a squadron for Air Force or maybe a company for the Army. But when you're at a staff, you see this and the sync matrix and all that kind of stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah, that got a little off the rails. I think I the idea kind of outgrew the initial box that I had put it in. But yeah, it's this weird side of the Army that people don't, or the military really, you see the commercials late night on TV and it's like people, rappelling out of helicopters and whatnot. But so much of the Army, especially once you get past the 10-year mark and you kind of are on a staff in some capacity more than you're not. I mean, it's The Office. It is legitimately like it is jokes about Microsoft Excel and printers and stuff. And, everything's happening in meeting rooms and cubicles at that point. And, but we still have that kind of language, we're still talking about like saved rounds in our meetings and stuff. But it's like, man, I haven't touched a round in 5 years. Yeah. So it's like we're just pretending at this level.
It is. And it just takes you back to being out in the field and all that kind of stuff. So it makes you feel good, but it's really dumb. It's dumb language.
It is. But it's, a lot of people from outside of the military, they're like, "I'm not in the military, but I know what's going on here and I hate it," or I love it. They laugh at it. So, it's, we're all going through it on some level, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. How long does it take you to edit some of those, like the staff wars kind of thing? Because like, there's a lot of effort that's put into that.
It really depends. I'm trying to kind of up my game. I've been working a lot with a lot of like more, call them like premium programs. I've just recently got into using Blender for like 3D animation and stuff like that, and some more kind of pristine editing softwares and whatnot. The downside to that is to make something good takes like a month. So it's like making something that looks awesome every day is just not. I mean, if that was my whole life and I didn't have kids or a job, I could probably do it, but takes a lot of time. So I went through an era really over the last year or two where I was like, I really would just rather switch to that and make less really good stuff. But there's a part of me that just enjoys, like, recently I've started doing general officers.
Yeah.
Kind of my
just nailed it.
The new target. Yeah. I found a filter on Snapchat that just is really good for like a general, like a geo. They had just kind of like the crook nose and weird empty eyes. And man, I just love hey man, let's just set the camera up and riff for about 2 minutes. We'll cut it down to a minute and a half and put that out there. And those are fun and easy. I can do one of those in probably 30 or 40 minutes with all the edits and whatnot. So
I can tell you from working with GOs that have since transitioned to the civilian space, they're still the exact same. So if that is anything to like buttress your comment, and
you can spot them a mile away.
It's a mile away. You start talking to me, and the second somebody starts talking to me, I'm like, so like 2-star, probably 3-star level. They're like,
yeah. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, brother,
How'd you know? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The dead eyes, the canned comments, the
exactly.
catchphrases and buzzwords. I feel like I'm getting messaged every time I'm talking to one of those guys. Like, you don't have to message me, bud. We're just sitting here talking about stuff.
Exactly. A lot of people, like, my favorite thing, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, I'll kind of work it in sometimes, but they all kind of point in this very specific. They won't ever go like this belongs to the NCOs. This is just for some reason we don't do that, but they'll kind of point at things like they're holding a tiny Lego.
Right.
And it's like, if you know, this stuff, right, it's their signature field grade and general officer point, I guess. So
it's because late at night when they should be sleeping and they're charging their battery in the side of the wall, they're talking to their whiteboard, and that's where the 2 points are on their whiteboard.
Yeah.
And they're unable to stop the muscle memory for that.
Probably.
So you do a ton of other stuff too, man, from voice acting to talented musician. I've like some of your guitar riffs are just absolutely ridiculous. You're better at everything that I could never hope to be good at. What came first? Was it just the love of creation in general, or was it I found a space for this and that all sort of blossomed? Like, how long have you been playing guitar and doing voice acting?
Man, I've been playing guitar since I was 13. Kind of a funny story. So I was raised in church. My mom wanted me to be like a church musician. I did not want that. So I took guitar lessons from like the youth worship leader for like 3 months. And I got to the point where I was like, hey, can you teach me how to play? I had the Black Album on cassette from Metallica.
Yes.
I was like, can you teach me how to do that? And he was like, no, I'm not going to teach you how to do that, man. I said, you're fired. And I never had another teacher after that. I all self-taught. I can't read music, so I'm kind of like, I guess the Dave Grohl method of just like playing by ear and kind of duplicating rather than reading or anything. But been playing music for most of my life, as far back as I can remember. Did a little acting right before I joined the Army. I was doing professional theater in San Antonio.
Everybody knows San Antonio is the home for theater, so at least you started off at the tippy top.
Just a bastion for that, really.
Just a light on a hill.
Yeah. No, we it was a fun show. It's called the Great American Trailer Park Musical, and it was a really good cast and really fun show. And it at the time it paid pretty decent, but it ended, and I didn't have a job after that, and I was not a very reliable person. I was like 19 at the time. So I was still kind of in that, like, very, like, looking back, like, that's very much, you're a kid at that age. So, I joined the Army with kind of the mindset of like, I guess that none of that worked out. And I don't even think I played a guitar for my first 2 years in the Army. And thankfully my roommate when I was in Iraq was a guitar player as well, and he packed one up and brought one with him, a little practice amp, and I kind of rediscovered it when I was in Iraq. So I came home with all my Iraq money, didn't have kids at the time, so I bought another pretty nice guitar and an amp, pretty good amp, and I swore kind of a blood oath to never not have gear around again. So it's music's kind of been there in one facet or another since then. And then acting was always kind of like what I wanted to do long term. I got told a lot growing up, like, hey, you're really talented. I would be in a play in school or something. They say, hey, you're really talented. You're really talented. I say, cool, thanks. I want to be an actor. They say, oh no, you shouldn't do that. You can't pay the bills that way. Like, well,
no, we just wanted to give you a compliment, 10-year-old.
10-year-old. Chill out, man. Yeah.
Easy, buddy. Don't chase your dreams. We don't do that here. Have you considered the trades or the military?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll do that then.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, again, TikTok and kind of people kind of, the eyes being on you at that point, people identifying like, hey, this guy's funny and has some charisma. So I've been able to kind of work it back in to my content periodically. And yeah, just, it's fun. It's very cathartic for me. I love to make things. I love to produce things. I like to tell stories. I like, that's kind of the conundrum I'm in with my content now is I really don't want to do like the influencer thing of reaction content, or I don't want to, there's a lot of, kind of people exposing other creators and stuff like that. And that's my least favorite stuff to watch, man. I'd rather watch like, tell me a story or show me an awesome music video or something like that. So.
No, it makes sense. We've occasionally, for objectively looking back at our content, we mostly, probably 95% of the stuff we do is all informative, maybe some opinion, trying to stay in the positive lane as much as we can. There have definitely been episodes where it's like, okay, well, this one's just not going to be positive because there's something we've got to get off our chest, or there's been some injustice or something like that. And it's just like, you know what? Sorry. We generally apologize at the beginning. It's like, hey,
we do,
this is
yeah.
going to
Hey,
be,
if you're here to,
if
you're here to learn about the pipeline, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you can't avoid it. It's when you feel convicted as a man, there's certain things that happen. I mean, there's every day right now. It's like something happens, and I feel personal conviction, and it's like, and I want to have a conversation about this. And I think at one point I might have made a video being, talking about Israel and Gaza or ICE or something like that. And I have my own opinions about that. But the conversations that I have face to face with people about that stuff are so much richer than me pointing a phone at myself and trying to convince people that what I think is right. It just, the two are so different. And I think there is so much white noise because people have those convictions and they have those opinions about what's going on in the world. And they think if they just say it and put it out there for anyone, that it's going to drive us to a solution. And I think really oftentimes I feel like the algorithm takes those videos and purposefully provides them to the people that disagree with them. And it just creates more, I'm not saying discourse is bad, but kind of like fruitless discourse, if that makes sense. So I kind of avoid it in terms of content.
Yeah, and it's a double-edged sword, especially for us. I mean, I don't know how many times we've gotten a comment where it's like, hey, this crazy social thing is going on and you guys haven't talked about it. You guys must not care about it. We're like, it's not that we don't care about it. That's not what we do. We're here to help you do a very specific thing, and we've tried to stay true to that. It's not that we don't have our own opinions, and we all have our own other projects where we talk freely and openly about that stuff constantly.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things like, what do we do? So everybody can fight in the comment section and we can get nothing done. And maybe this video does, a couple 100,000 views and maybe it doesn't. And then the next time we talk about something, you guys are, like you kind of lose the plot once you start chasing that rabbit hole. And that's no shot at people to do it. Great. Go ahead. That's just never been our thing here on this platform.
Yeah. And it's, you have people come to you and they're like, you're a centrist or you're a coward. I've been called a coward.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't chime in on PFC Kearns and or it's like, brother, like I have zero skin in that game.
Right.
People just, and I think again, like they need their beliefs affirmed so badly.
Yeah.
Maybe they worry that what they believe is wrong and they just need whatever, the guy on TikTok or the guys on Instagram to be like, yeah, totally. And I'm not going to do that. I have a very diverse followership. I have a diverse, body of like friends and family around me. I have friends from my old punk rock and music playing days that are, very leftist and trans affirming and all that stuff. I have great friends, lifelong friends who are very pro 2A, very conservative, and I don't think it's selfish for me to say, I just kind of want to keep all those friends and have that diversified input in my life because they're all having valid experiences. And I'm not talking about what they're putting on Instagram for everyone, but they're all living a real life. And I'm much more interested in the real human experience that they're having. If I come out and I'm like, well, I'm over here, guys.
Right.
I've isolated someone. So.
No. Bad news, you got canceled anyway. They're going to call you the ist or the phobe or whatever it is anyway. So you might as well just do what actually makes you happy that you think is good for the world.
I got my flannel on today.
How dare you?
I wore when Carhartt's thing was going on. people were ripping me a new one. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's a shirt, man.
Hey,
It's a hat.
hey guys. Yeah. What if I told you I've ridden on a bus one time and the bus driver was a felon and I didn't know it? That doesn't mean I support his felony. It means I was on the bus once. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, felon bus rider over here.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe I supported that guy. It's the most ridiculous crap on the face of the
I'm really out of it.
planet.
I don't even know what the Carhartt thing was.
I've had another one since we're on the topic. You know, I don't. When it rains, it pours, I guess. But there's been kind of a spate of like guys, kind of in the military, specifically influence sphere, making goofing or making mistakes or doing things they shouldn't. They're getting exposed or whatever. And I've followed some of these guys for the years. Some of them, I think, just goofed. Some of them are terrible. They've made pretty terrible mistakes. But I have people message me, and they're like, I cannot believe you're still following this person. I cannot believe it. And it's like, my brother, who? First of all, you know? Second of all, what are you, the follower police? You know? Like,
right.
Get a life, man. That's a clear indicator you're spending too much time on Instagram.
Well, I mean, we've done it here too. We've had people on. We've been going for, a little bit over 5 years. So we started this thing in like 2019. We're at like 600-ish episodes, like 700 total episodes, probably around there. But awesome. Like 500 numbered episodes. This is going to shock you. We've talked to people that have evolved as humans and that have went on. People have hit us up and be like, I can't believe I found this episode. It's like, my brother in Christ, that episode is 6 years old. And we didn't know what we were doing. And at the time and in the context, they didn't do these bad things. So what do you want? I'm not taking it down because it makes you mad. And I typically like it.
Think about how different think about how different your life was in 2019 and everything that has happened since, man. It is a different planet, a completely different planet, dude. COVID and the George Floyd stuff and Trump 1 and then Biden and Trump 2 and the Afghanistan withdrawal, dude, it is a lot that has happened. And people have changed. I've changed. Oh, yeah. There's a lot that has happened over those years that I thought some of the stuff I was like, man, I'm behind this. I believe in it. And I look at it now, I'm like, man, I can't believe I supported that. I see with clearer eyes. We're all growing. We're all learning. We're all consuming it at the same rate, and just, I think we're having a hard time finding grace for other people's, interpretation of everything that's happened. 'Cause it's all been wildly messed up and it's a jarring human experience.
Yeah. I forget what they call it, but if you were to say something 10 years ago about today, or if you were to take a scenario and say something to yourself 10 years ago and say, hey, we would have locked down, or the Afghanistan withdrawal would have been a disaster, or Trump would have lost to Biden, but then won again, and Don Lemon would have gotten arrested in a church or for going to church. Like all these things you'd go, if 10 years ago in 2016, if you told me that, I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. It sounds like a bad Tom Clancy novel.
100%. What if I told you a penguin was going to take the internet by storm and it was all I could look at for 3 straight days? Because that thing had me in a chokehold, dude. That penguin really saved my life. Yeah. We had all this other darkness that I could look and see 900 penguin memes on my story. It was fantastic.
It was that like Hawk Tua, like that was right. That was huge until it was gone, completely gone. Right. It's just things have changed so much, man, and just even media. I think about like the importance of. 2019 was when Endgame came out, and that to me was like peak. I think that was the last time I was in a movie theater with like the audience kind of reacting to a movie, and I was like, dude, this is peak cinema. And it turns out it kind of was, because the movie-going experience and the importance that we placed on celebrities and how they're living their life has drastically waned. And I think there's almost this, and especially now, so I don't know how familiar you guys are with this Markiplier movie that just came out, the Iron Lung.
My daughter I'm not familiar with it at all, but my daughter, no kidding, an hour ago showed me the trailer for it, and she's like, do you want to go see this with me? I don't know what this is.
So you have the case of like this YouTuber personality who invested personal money into a film based on a video game, put it in theaters, and it's doing really, really well. And I don't think people are thinking about how that is going to affect Hollywood's. You have this guy who just makes a movie. Basically, he's a YouTuber, puts it out, and it's already paid for itself. The space the things that we ingest and take in is changing even.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, the world that I grew up in is well and truly gone, and I guess I'm still adjusting to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're among friends here, so we're all about in the same age striation, right?
Yeah,
So we grew up drinking out of water hoses and no phones, and your parents would literally kick you out of the house early in the day, and they'd be like, go play with your friends, and you would sometimes you'd almost die in a cornfield or jump your bike off something that you weren't supposed to, and you'd
Didn't
come
say
home.
a word about it when I came back home.
Not a thing. How was it?
Yeah.
It was awesome. We went over to Mark's house. You know how many times
You
know how many times I almost died over at my friend Mark's house when I was about 10? All the time. All the time. The other really interesting thing to think about with movies there too, and something to kind of break your brain, but the idea of crowdsourced movies and AI integration is that somebody with an AI creation tool, we're very close to people creating full script. I mean, you can see it with Sora, where they're making entire AI short form content. That's going to extrapolate into long form content. And when you start talking about people that can go onto a service, like let's say Netflix has an AI function, people are going to be able to go and they're going to go, oh, this kind of idea for this movie was cool. Let's say it was about the Hulk, but I want the Hulk to lose his best friend instead. And at this point, he comes back to life, and then they do this, and then people build on it. One of those is going to be a great movie that everybody is going to look at, and it's going to happen in real time. Like the AI singularity is terrifying, but also really interesting to think about.
I think it is. I think it was 2021 when the first kind of open AI software was like, hey, generate a bunch of pictures of Joe Biden that looked like he was drawn by Van Gogh. And it would do kind of the four corner, the quad chart of pretty good, but still kind of messed up looking, and it just from that was 2021 when that stuff came out. We're now in 2026, and I have to stop.
Yeah.
And I've already been fooled.
Oh, I've eaten the trash, brother. I've seen a picture and been like, what is this? And I'm just like, send it to somebody. And, I had a friend that actually gave that. He's like, oh, you ate the trash, didn't you? You little raccoon. And I was like, oh, no.
And that's in 5 years, 5-ish.
Right.
Give it 10 years, 20 years. It's terrible. Are you guys familiar with the show Black Mirror on Netflix at all?
Oh yeah. Love that show.
It is, and this is not even a hot take. People have already said this, but we are well and truly living in that show right now.
It's like season 4 of Black Mirror in the world. Sometimes I feel like the scriptwriters aren't even trying anymore. Nobody's going to believe this.
I just said this to someone. I was like, dude, the writers for that show got to be like, what could we make up that is more terrifying than what's going on?
Yeah.
We're out of doomsday technology scenarios. Like the series finale is happening right now. And we can't write this. So,
right. I just picture them sitting in a room like a year ago, and they're like, all right, so we're going to film this next year. Here's the story. Let's go to Venezuela. We're going to have the Delta guys. They're going to kill a bunch of dudes with sonic weapons.
Yeah.
And on the way in, what are they listening to? Some kids in the corner. Chief Keef. Love Sosa. And be like, nah, trash that. It's never going to work.
Yeah. I really see it heading in a direction where I think movies and television as a medium, and maybe even video games, I'm not going to say they're on a course to be irrelevant, but they're on a course to where the Black Mirror idea of you're putting the little tab on your temple and you kind of go to sleep and you live, smell, and eat and drink in that. It is like, I want to live the Maduro raid. And I want Chief Keef to be playing in my headphones while it's going on. And you tell AI to make that happen in your mind while you're sleeping at night. And you live your greatest fantasy.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe we get that.
Well,
terrifying.
Even now with Sora 2, some of the things that it's able to do, like just the Pixar animation,
the prompts that they use for that, for the 8 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is, and how they are able to create a Pixar that if you saw that and you didn't know anybody and it wasn't hilarious because it was so inappropriate, right?
Yeah.
You would think like, okay, that's a new Pixar movie coming out. Disney's out it again,
It's
wild.
it's really weird because like I just recently started putting my content onto Facebook just to kind of diversify a little bit, but Facebook's audience is they're all different. They all have their own kind of little personalities, but Facebook's older. And
Facebook is so bad. Oh
Facebook
man,
is
it's
bad,
so bad.
dude. And I'll find I usually put the stuff on the app, but occasionally I'll hop over to the timeline just to see, and it is lousy with not even the good AI.
Right.
It's like terrible, just like obviously fake stuff. And you go in the comments and there's a bunch of 50-plus-year-olds who are outraged.
Right.
Legitimately.
The Ice Agents did that. My brother, where's his head? Where's the Ice Agents? Why does that one have robot legs? Why you look at
the
it
Ice
first.
Agent had 9 fingers.
Right.
So.
Hey guys, I don't know how the Sigil fire by itself, you don't even need those 9 fingers to shoot it. But having 9 fingers should let you know that you don't have that many on one hand. There, Barbara from Indiana.
But my mom she's a little bit older, so she's like 72. She's still really sharp. I love my mom. But when she was born, not every house on the block had a television.
Right.
So imagine her now, and we have the ability to tell a computer to no humans involved, no nothing, generate the things that you would see on television. That differential blows my mind. And those people are living it. And that's what terrifies me about when we're old men, when we're in the home, and our little whatever, is it going to be here? Is it going to be here? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever it's showing us is probably going to blow our mind. Because when we were all kids, we had VHS tapes and we had cassette tapes. And now it's just what, in your brain or, who knows? So
we could have never imagined streaming or anything like that.
No. You
Brother,
had a CD player and you had to hold it very still or else it would skip.
Oh, you didn't have electronic skip protection, huh? Grew up poor.
No. I had the 1999 special from Walmart, buddy boy.
You better believe that, brother.
Everybody be still.
Right. Yeah. Well, the greatest is when they would come out, like you needed that skip protection because they would come out with a little belt and then you'd have to make yourself a gym mixtape. So you'd get into the gym and you'd be listening to your 14 songs on your CD.
No, not me. I was in there like a gimbal on a treadmill trying not to make it skip. So
little chicken head. Well, I mean, we kind of talked about it. You kind of broached into it, but it's one of my favorite things that you really lean into, and it's that dad life, man. I have 2 older kids and 2 younger kids, so I get to kind of see where Gen Z and Gen Alpha are. So I've got a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old, man. But I've also got this kid that's about to turn 2 and another daughter that's all of 4 months old at this point. We were kind of talking about before we got on. So
awesome,
man. How do you navigate that? That's for me, it's in Peaches as well. Like it's the most important and the only job that ever matters in this entire world. It's not to bemoan anybody that doesn't have kids of their own, but if you're thinking about it, go have kids, go have more kids. More kids is better than less kids. How do you kind of navigate this world as a dad, being out in the public life and then trying to guide the family through these terribly complex things?
Yeah. It ain't easy. As you guys know, everything I do is for my kids, and that includes obviously, I have my job. I'm still active duty. I like making videos. But there is kind of a discipline to it, and also the monetization doesn't hurt either. But, there's something about that I get enrichment in myself from, and that is something I am kind of trying to transfer to my kids because, again, I was told growing up, like, hey, you're very talented, you can do all these things, be an accountant, and I don't do that to my kids. I don't really impress too much on them. If I tell them if they want to do something, they've got to go and get it. They've got to work hard. That may mean college. That may not. That may mean intense athletic training. It may not. I kind of just want them to be hungry, as far as, how they turn out as adults. And then I want them to have good sense, and I want them to have, character. And that's the harder part, I think, is the character. My kids are quite a bit younger. They span an age from about 7 to 12, and I got 4 of them. And so they're anywhere from like still very much just a kid to we're starting to see the first signs of who they're going to be, or at least how they're going to be and how they're going to process information and how they're going to build relationships and stuff like that. And so trying to kind of walk that path with them and be transparent about my own pain that I experience and my own, I'm very transparent about any time that I've messed up with them or if I've made a mistake. Because I want them to see that, I grew up, and I don't know if you guys experienced this as well, but I had this kind of idea that adults kind of just got to like age 35 and they were just kind of done cooking at that point.
Right.
And they just,
Right.
they've arrived, they're at adulthood, and they just, only the bad ones make mistakes and get picked up by the cops. I think we all know now, especially now that everyone's got a camera on them. That's not true, man. It is so easy as an adult to lose your grip and to go out there and to make mistakes and to potentially get in trouble and to burn relationships and to the reality of, hey, some marriages last, some don't, things like that, jobs come and go. I don't want any of that to catch my kids off guard because that's life. And so I've kind of tried to kind of just walk them through some of that. And, when they experience failure and when they get in trouble and when they experience challenges and stuff like that, just trying to help them understand like this is ugly and it hurts, but it's part of a more beautiful process, which is just living your life, I don't want them to turn out to be bullies, with my sons, I want my sons to be tough to a degree. I want all my kids to be tough regardless of how they turn out, but I also want them to have a degree of emotional intelligence, all of them. My sons, with sons, it's more challenging. I think, people are worried about boys fighting on the playground and like, well, I don't want them to grow up and be getting in bar fights or anything like that. That's not really the risk. I think the risk, especially with sons, is they're, if you raise them not to manage their anger and to manage their own internal mess, they don't grow up and go fight other men. They grow up and they abuse their partner, or they don't pick on someone their own size.
Yeah.
Men tend to punch down in a state of weakness. And so helping them to kind of address their own weakness, not to raise them to be weak, but to identify the weakness that is in everyone and just say, okay, it's there. How do I get around it? How do I work with it? So, but it ain't easy. And your kids, you got older kids, so I imagine you've probably seen some of that kind of come full circle in a way that I can't even speak to.
Well, you sure can, because I think it's this realization that we all go through. And, to hit your point of, when I was a child, I came from a huge family, right? So holidays and birthdays and all these family gatherings and stuff, they involved a whole bunch of adult role models. And you sit in that room as a 10 to 15-year-old kid and you're like, oh, these guys all have it figured out. And then you get to be about, 30, 35, and you're like, I don't know how to do any of this. I am juggling flaming chain. I don't know how many times my daughter has called me, my eldest daughter has called me, and she just took her LSAT. She crushed it. She's getting ready to go to law school. She wants to, go do all this other stuff. And there'll be sometimes that she calls me and, it's not necessarily for advice. It's just to talk about stuff. And I'll just go, hey, I'm going to be honest with you here. I don't know how to help lead you through this one. I'm doing this for the first time as well. And that realization, that switch that flips, I think that's why being a parent, that's why being a father is so important, because it shows you parts of yourself that you were unwilling to admit ever existed before. to look at somebody coming to you for advice and go, we're going to have to go through this together. I might mess up. I might fail. I've never been perfect with, any of my kids, to include the new ones that are running around here. There's times today I was talking to my son. I was like, you probably shouldn't be that tough with him, or, is this going to lead to therapy in 10 years sort of thing?
Yeah.
But I think those lessons that we learn about ourselves, I think that's why, I'm such a big advocate of, the lessons that you will learn from being a father, from being somebody that's engaged in that way. You'll learn more from it than the lessons that you're teaching to the person, because you have to get there yourself and you have to figure that out. Like, I just laugh at, my dad is a superhero. He's never done anything wrong. And then you go through this period where, like, my dad's an idiot. He doesn't know anything. And then, like, 10 years later, you're like, my dad's a superhero.
Yeah.
He really understood some stuff, and I just wasn't ready for the lesson.
Yeah. I have so much more, like, compassion and understanding for both my parents. So, like, my dad, especially, like, just being the man who bore me. I was not an easy child to raise. I think he had a different expectation for how fatherhood was going to work out. And that all comes from how he was raised. And that all came from how my grandpa was raised. It's generational. And it's not even that I'm like, trying to break generational trauma or break the chains or anything like that. It's more so just like acknowledging that, because I don't really know if my dad thought about it too much, which is not a dig on him. There's 1990 something when I was a little kid. They were not talking about, like, generational trauma. I don't even know if they knew what that term meant.
Right.
It's just like, raise your kid and let him drink out of the hose occasionally. Yeah. But yeah, just kind of trying to identify that and try to help all of my kids really understand, like, hey, look, I want to empower you. I want to, I want you to handle your business when you grow up. I want you to pay your bills on time, and I want you to be able to do certain things on your own without having to phone it in. But also, it's okay to fall flat on your face. It's okay not to know. It's okay to not be okay. There's probably going to be a lot of moments where you're not going to be okay. You're going to find yourself some point in your 30s and you'll be like, I feel like I'm still 14 up here. And I know that's not how it's supposed to be, but there is no how it's supposed to be. It's just how it is. And you just kind of negotiate with it and work through it.
It's a constant state of imposter syndrome as a dad, and trying to go, man, if I can, and I've said this on the show before, if I could be half the dad or half the husband or half the man that my dad was, I am doing phenomenal. Yeah. And and I was very fortunate. I didn't grow up wealthy or anything like that, but family wise, I was wealthy. Both of my parents were extremely loving. I had a great brother. We had a great,
Don't say had like Steven's dad. Hi, Steven. I'll hit you up on the group chat. He's still here.
To be like, man, RIP. This guy sounded like he was great.
Man, he's a real one. Everyone pour one out for Steven Petrus, guest on the podcast. And
where's he buried at, man? I want to go pay my respects, man.
It felt like a weird thing to. Yeah, it felt like a weird thing to break. I just talked to him.
Hey man, what happened?
Hey man, you guys didn't put this in the group chat. I wasn't tracking. Sorry, Deidre. I wasn't tracking.
Yeah. So our upbringing was fantastic, and we didn't ever get everything that we wanted, and we didn't have all the newest stuff or anything like that. We grew up a lot in apartment complex, but at the same time, we got everything that we needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And that you realize now that you're grown that whole, like, I can't give my kids a pony, like, we don't get the PlayStation 5 the day it drops, but giving them everything they need, man, sometimes even that, like, you come home at the end of the day and you've just been ripped in 15 different directions and worked and you're just socially exhausted, you're emotionally exhausted, and someone asks you, hey, what's for dinner? That's what they need. They need dinner.
Gotta eat.
Like, man, even the bare minimum is kind of sounding big right now. That's that dinner sounded like a PlayStation 5 right about now. But you know, you do it, and I always like it's almost I have to keep doing those things because I'm you know, chronically just kind of forgetting, like, oh yeah, the feeling of edification that I get when I have cooked a dinner for my kids and they all sit down and they're like, thanks for dinner, Dad. Man, you can't beat that. You can't beat, you know, you pick them up from school from an appointment and they're like, hey, we're gonna take a detour. We'll go to Brahms. We'll go get some ice cream and a burger for lunch. Man, those little things, like, I remember those moments about my dad, you know, like, I remember getting my PlayStation 1 for Christmas. Absolutely. That happened one time. But I remember going to McDonald's on Saturday morning with my dad 100 times. And I would think about that a lot more than getting my PlayStation.
Yeah.
And
I heard it coming out of my, oh, go ahead, Beach. Yeah, go ahead.
I was, one thing is, Josh, you said your oldest is 12. So that's probably at the age where you will not get a hug from them for a long time until they really, really need it. And that's the biggest thing is I remember when my daughter held my hand walking into a grocery store for the last time, because there was like a big gap between the time she just grabbed my hand out of nowhere, walked with me. And I was like, I even looked back at my wife and I'm like, dude, oh my God, you know, and it hadn't happened since. And
I'm right there with you. My oldest is a boy. And so we have transitioned to the Tiger Woods like dap meme. Like I tell him to go to bed and he's like, big dog.
Big dog.
And it's like, man, you remember those times of just like hands under the armpits, bring them up to eye level and you swing them around or you do whatever. You tickle them at bedtime. You don't tickle a 12-year-old. They're going to hit you.
Yeah.
Dude, those moments are like, they're waning in a way that's like, I'm excited for them. Like I am excited for my kids to get older in a lot of ways. Cause it's like, man, I want to spend time with the adults that they're going to become. But also like, I mean, you know, my youngest is 7. So like, I don't get baby fever, but I turn into a softie around a baby. Yeah. It's pretty pathetic to watch. But
I got one for you, brother. Dude, if you need it, I got
hi. Yeah, dude. It's obnoxious. I love a baby, man. They're so, but you just, especially being like a bigger, like you guys, you're a couple big guys, you know, you get your hands on a baby, it disarms you. It takes away all the violence and all the frustration you have in your body. And it's like medicine, having a baby in your lap or holding a baby in your arms. It is. I don't think we talk about that enough as a man, like especially holding your baby. It changes your physiology, bro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I always laugh, you know, I'm on a bunch of my friends that, you know, we were pregnant with, you know, my son, and they were talking about, you know, hey, you know, you're starting over and what do you feel? You know, about 6 months later, you know, that same conversation was like, oh, how's it going? Are you sleeping? Whatever else. And I was like, brother, have you ever heard a 6-month-old baby belly laugh at you for making a face? Like, when was the last time that happened? Because I get to do that every night. Like, you're talking about bedtime routines. My son has this funny thing where I take him out of the bathtub, I lay him on his bed, and every night we have the same conversation. I go, you're not going to run away tonight, are you? And he goes, yeah. And I'm trying to teach him how to lie to dad and say, no, he's not going to run away. Because he immediately throws that towel off and sprints around the house naked, screaming for his mom. And it's hilarious every single night. Man. Yeah. Like, brother, have you heard that recently? Like, starting over really ain't that bad. I'll take a little bit of being tired in the morning if I get to do that every night.
I see it in my dad, like with my kids. I'm very blessed that my parents are the most eager grandparents there are. They love to show up for my kids in whatever regard it is. And it's just, you see it on his face, man. It's like things that would have gotten me executed, burned at the stake as a kid. And he's like, you better knock it off. It's like, Dad, you would have murdered me for that.
He is not you. So
yeah, he's such a Twinkie now. But yeah, man, it's, you know, I do miss those times. There's parts of it I don't miss. Never having to buy diapers again has been nice. But no, I have a lot of fondness for every stage of their life, and I'm excited about what's coming too. So
Yeah, and it is fun. I've got a 19-year-old and a 14-year-old, so it's fun. It's
sure.
challenging.
Yeah. It's terrifying, I imagine.
I'm so terrified.
Yeah. You get a lot of anxiety for those experiences that they're going to go at it. Cause you think like you guys were talking about when we play outside, like I almost drowned in a creek when I was 12 or 13 years old, and I never told my parents about that. Like the things I know that they've gone through and experienced terrify me. The things that they're going to go through and they're never going to say a word to me about,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like,
you're 100% correct. Cause I tell you what, like, my son, he's 14, he gets into stuff and I encourage him to do it, right? Like get out of the house. Don't come back until it's dark. I try and impart on him things that I got to experience, knowing full well that he's getting into things that he shouldn't be.
right.
Hopefully with any luck, he doesn't get arrested or doesn't get hurt or worse, right?
Mhm.
But I was talking to my parents about it and I'm like, yeah, man, sometimes he gets into trouble, but it's nothing. Anything that he's done that he's gotten in trouble for is nothing compared to what I did. And my parents are like, oh yeah? So
really? What are
what
those?
do you
Yeah.
share? Like,
Can you expound on that? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, no, it wasn't that bad. She's like, well, it kind of sounds like it was that bad. What did you do?
Yeah. No, there's for their sake, there's a lot that I've redacted from the file, just to spare them because I get it now. Like it is. So my kids are going to public school for the first time this year. We homeschooled up to now, and we're in public school now. And even that has been its own host of things. They're now having to do things very differently, and they're having to learn how to deal with kids who are raised very differently from them. And yeah, man, it just every little thing you're like, well, I just want to go and hold their hand through it. And especially as they get older, you realize they want that least of all. They don't want you there. So go let them do it and fall on their face and just be there on the back end, I guess.
Exactly. Well, Josh, we're going to close it up and we appreciate you joining us. Before we get out of here, though, I would love to hear your advice to those that are looking to join the military or even get into content creation. Either or, pick your poison, because our demographic is anywhere between 15 and 35-year-olds that are interested in joining the military. So
Sure.
what kind of advice would you impart on them?
Joining the military, I would say, man, just be ready for anything. It's not going to be what you expect it to be in a lot of ways. Be a team player. That's the biggest thing I can tell you. You're going to meet people that are so vastly different from you and grew up on the opposite corner of the United States than you, and they just have vastly different backgrounds. And that might be your best friend for life. I think about like the real like lifelong friends that I've made from the military. Most of them are people I would not have hung out with otherwise, but I feel so protected by those people, and we have nothing in common almost in a lot of cases. So be a team player, and your team. If you stay in the military, your team's going to grow. So come in at the entry level. Be there for your team. Be there for your squad. Be there for your platoon. You get to about the 10-year mark. Be there for your company. Be there for your organization. Whatever, but show up. Share in the suffering. That way you can share in the celebration afterward. And then as far as content making, I would say, yeah, it's a tougher road, I'd say, to make things that really light you up and cheer people up. But I think that's what we need more than anything right now. There's tons of content out there that's talking about the real and the upsetting, and it's pointing out the bad and I'm not saying that we pretend that stuff's not happening, because it sure is happening, boys. Oh my gosh. If you're not a journalist and you're thinking about making content, but you know how to play the violin, play the violin. I'd much rather listen to you play the violin than get on here and tell me what's happening in just being real. Like,
Yeah.
the news and a million other people on TikTok are going to tell me what's going on in Minneapolis. Let's hear the violin. I honestly, my whole thinking and how I make content now is the bad stuff's going to keep happening. Plenty of people who are going to talk about it, and there's plenty of people who are going to watch it. I want to be the respite between those videos. I want to be the one video in 10 that people got to forget about that stuff for a minute and just laugh about something that we can all relate to, or enjoy a part of a good story, or bob their head to some music or something like that. And then after that, they can go back to all the terrible things that are happening. But that's my approach is I just want people to catch a break from that stuff. It's not that I don't care about it. It's not that I don't have an opinion about it. It is very much, hey, let's take a break. Let's just laugh. You know what I mean? So we need more of that. I'm seeing a lot of negativity, even from, kind of military sphere of content creators. It's a lot of focus on bad stuff and terrible things. And the thing is, like, that's an endless tap. It's going to keep happening. And it's fairly easy to make that content, but we need people to cut us a break between all that stuff too. And that's kind of,
Well, you're always that break, man. I was laughing when we were getting ready to start this thing, but I want to give you the best compliment that I possibly can. I am never mad when you come up on my feed. There's a bunch of people in the middle influencer space, whatever dumb term we want to call that thing. But anytime I see a video from you, I know I'm going to get that break that I very much need. So you keep crushing it. Everybody go follow Josh over at OnePunchXDad on everything, even on Facebook now. If I see you start posting on LinkedIn though, bro, me and you are, I got a special place in my heart for LinkedIn. It is an absolute dumpster fire.
It's uncharted territory, baby.
Yeah. God, don't
it's
even.
wild. It's wild. Aaron and I'll get on and he'll do things like thought leader and that kind of stuff. And
I do it to troll.
In there.
Go follow my LinkedIn if you want to see me troll everybody just from a very hey guys, we can't boil the ocean. It's like I am that lieutenant colonel that's just doing all the business terms that they can.
Yeah. Someone told me that LinkedIn is like the discussion boards you do for like distance learning college.
Yes.
But it's for people who just want to do it for fun.
Right. Like, you have to get 2 responses. You owe 2 responses a day to this topic that you have no idea about, and you're just trying to get the word count up so you get a good grade.
That's a very good point, Aaron. It made me think.
And I love
it reminds me of this time.
The way that you said,
really
stoked me. If I can use 100 of your own words, and I can just copy and paste and throw quotes at the end of it, like, hey, that's it.
You get a grade. There you go.
There you go.
I want to say thank you for that encouragement, man. That's the goal, and I that means a lot to hear you say that. So I'm gonna keep chopping.
Well, it is, man, and it's funny that you say chop actually, because I have a guy that I work with. Chops is his call sign. He's an Intel guy, and he started sending me your stuff. He's like, dude, you gotta check this out. And he goes, I know this crafting guy. I know him. So, like we'll send each other your stuff. So it's fantastic. So you really are doing great, and I do appreciate it.
Shout out Chops.
That's right.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Please subscribe if you want to visit us over on whensready.com, or if you want to register for any of our operator training summits, you can head over to operatortrainingsummit.com. All right, Josh. Thanks again.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, fellas.